Two women participate in a slapping contest. Slap each other 3 times and the winner gets 1 million. Esmeralda and Anastasia are the opponents of the competition. The advantages and disadvantages are obvious even before they start. Do you think Esmeralda will win or Anastasia will win? Esmeralda poured talcum powder on her hand and stared at Anastasia with fierce eyes, swinging her arm from side to side and aiming at her face. Anastasia lowered her head and dodged her eyes, not daring to look at the woman in front of her. Just heard a snap. Anastasia was slapped back a few steps, almost failed to stand down. I didn't expect Esmeralda to hit hard. Anastasia took off her braces, smiled and stroked her hair. It's her turn to fight back. She aimed her palm at Esmeralda's face and swung it around 360 degrees. A slap across the face. Esmeralda just had her hair messed up and her feet didn't even move. Anastasia smiled and pretended to comfort. But the impact of this slap on Esmeralda is not much. From the state of the first round, it is easy to see the difference in strength between the two. Let's look at the second round. Esmeralda's eyes are still full of murder. Anastasia's face is full of leaking air. Anastasia almost fell to the ground with another slap. It hurts to watch, but Anastasia was in a good mood and interacted with the camera. She took off her braces and started fist pumping. Esmeralda was ready. Anastasia punched the woman's cheek as hard as she could, but it didn't have any effect. Esmeralda's form was not affected at all, and she was even looking forward to the next third round. The final round is decided. Anastasia was scared to death with her braces on. Esmeralda's hand went back and forth on her face to try to aim many times. The arm tattoos are also scary. The last blow was not light, but it felt merciful. Long-haired woman is still smiling after being beaten. The most concerned about the hair is actually messed up or not. The long-haired woman's turn to attack the battle ended with a pop. Esmeralda smiled after being slapped. It was obvious who the champion was. Esmeralda took the fight. They hugged each other to show that friendship comes first. If you were willing to participate in this kind of competition, slap each other 3 times to see who can survive to the end. If you win the championship, you will get $1 million. Slepik and the bald man are the opponents of this game. Both of them are similar in size, but there is only one champion. Who do you think will win? Slepik attacks first in the first round. His eyes locked on the bald man and his arm swung back and forth to his opponent's face. The bald guy got excited when he slapped him. He smiles and thinks, "That's all." The bald man put talcum powder on his palm and swung his arm back and forth towards Slepik's face. After aiming, there was a pop. Slepik was so strong that his body was shaken by the slap, so you can imagine how strong it was. Moving on to the next round, Slepik moved his muscles and smoothed out his strength, so he changed his power to see how it worked. Sure enough, it worked. Bald man was slapped by the pace of a move, face instantly light swelling up. Let's see how he fights back. Slepik lowered his head. Bald guy swings his arm back and forth. Slepik's face changed with a snap, shrugging his shoulders and dodging at the same time. This is a point deduction in the eyes of the referee. Of course, the slap was very hard. The bald man's explosive power is too strong. Round 3 continues. Slepik continues with the same power as in the second round. Outside the screen, as if you can hear the sound. This slap is not easy for the bald man either. It was his turn to fight back. Slepik heavily lowered his head. After a slap, Slepik could see that he was blinded. His eyes were a little confused for a few seconds before he recovered. The referee behind him was also worried about him. After 3 rounds, it was hard to tell the winner. The referee decided to play extra time. Let the bald man attack first. He didn't let up at all. Slepik was in a lot of pain. The slap made him rest on the table for a while. By now, both faces were bruised and swollen. This kind of slap can cause a concussion if you are not careful. After a moment of reprieve, Slepik retaliated with his palm aimed at the man in front of him. Slepik hit the last slap with maximum force. The bald man still does not move. Apparently, bald guy won this last round. Both men's faces were swollen. Bald guy's face is paralyzed from the beating. Victory is not easy to come by. I could have died on the spot with this slap. All contestants slapped each other 3 times. Whoever survives to the end will get the $1 million prize. Look at this episode of the contestant. Predator, height 183, weight 100 kilograms. He slapped down the average person, may be concussed, but his opponent, Slepik, is no ordinary man either. Who do you think will win before the opening round? The first round, Predator attacked first. He slaps Slepik's shoulder, but it doesn't affect him much. Slepik attacks and sees Predator's chin shrink, and Slepik doesn't show any mercy. Predator staggers back with a blow that shows clear finger marks on his face. Predator swings his arms back and forth and hits Slepik's face and jaw with maximum force. Slepik is still demonstrating after being hit. Slepik put a thick layer of talcum powder on his hands. At this point, Predator's eyes have shown fear. Predator was knocked back a step with a slap. The score is even. Predator's face is even more red and swollen when we look at the state of the two men up close. Round 3 continues. Predator slaps him in the face. Slepik's face is red from the base of his neck. Slepik is red from face to neck, but he looks okay. By this time, Predator's mouth is very red and swollen. Predator's mouth was bleeding from the corner after Slepik's slap, but he still wouldn't admit defeat. The problem was left to the referee. Combining the fouls in these fights, the referee decided to add an extra round. Predator is momentarily stunned because Slepik's attacks are too strong. But that's how brutal the competition is. Neither fighter has any mercy in the extra round. Predator's blood is spurting out of his mouth. He's clearly hurt, but he can't forfeit at this point. It's his turn to fight back, and Predator slaps Slepik in the forehead. But Slepik remained unchanged, which is really something. Slepik's victory was not easy to come by. If you were given a chance, would you be willing to participate in such a competition?